Let's bring in Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. And thank you I know you had to run and get a vote in, so thank you for coming back and joining us. I want to talk to you about this because Donald Trump was impeached twice. The first impeachment, ironically enough, was about the same stuff that is being rehashed in order to try to impeach Joe Biden. The same Burisma stuff that most Americans who don't watch Fox know nothing about. They don't know who Hunter Biden even is. What do you make of the fact that it does feel, in a sense, like Republicans are refighting a fight Trump wants because he's obsessed with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden?
Well, that's right. Donald Trump is the one insisting upon the impeachment so he can establish some kind of false moral equivalency between his utterly corrupt reign, which now has led to 91 criminal charges, versus Joe Biden's unblemished record. And you're right. The Ukraine shakedown was all about Donald Trump withholding hundreds of millions of dollars in security and strategic and economic assistance to Ukraine in order to get President Zelensky to falsely assert that there was a criminal corruption probe going on into Joe Biden. And in order to obscure the reality of that shakedown scheme, they concocted all these charges with Rudy Giuliani and Lev Parnas against Biden, which didn't go anywhere. And today you've got Lev Parnas, who basically was the mastermind with Rudy Giuliani of that plot, writing a letter to me and Chairman Comer saying there is absolutely nothing there, call off the wild goose chase. But we have returned to the beginning of these corruption scandals, or at least the ones that have been made public. We haven't really dealt with the emoluments clause scandals where Donald Trump was collecting millions and millions of dollars for himself and his family during his presidency from foreign governments.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Our director put up a list of some of the previous presidents who were impeached. I mean, Andrew Johnson was literally running afoul of, a law in trying to impeach the Secretary of War. Bill Clinton, I think most Americans regarded his impeachment as BS. The Republicans wanted to get him, and they wanted to equalize the Nixon impeachment, and so they did it, and it made him more popular. And then you, of course, have Donald Trump, who did an insurrection, earned that impeachment for that, and in the first one, as you said, tried to shake down Ukraine. And that substance, what you said, because it feels to me like if those screaming people on the other side start bringing up Burisma and all that, it does invite one to say, okay, now do Trump emoluments clause. Now let's do Jared getting $2 billion from the Saudis. Let's talk about the corruption of the Trump administration. That is the natural recourse. And that is why I'm going to put up a list of some of the skeptical Republicans who are like, yeah, maybe not. It's a long list. It's a long list of people from South Dakota and Arkansas and Montana and Ohio, red states, and blue states like Pennsylvania. Let me play you what John Fetterman had to say, a little bit more of what he said about impeachment.
It would be politically incumbent for Republicans. Yeah, that's the thing. Your man has, what, 3 or 4 indictments now, and you're going to, so like I said, like sometimes you just gotta call their bullshit. If they're gonna threat, then let's.
It is when you have a president who's been indicted not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. He has been found liable for sexual abuse and has 2 impeachments. To me, it sounds like they are just inviting Democrats to start talking about that stuff, as John Fetterman said. Is that what's going to happen in the House?
Well, you know that I'm the ranking Democrat on the Oversight Committee against Mr. Comer, and I can't tell you the number of Democrats who've come up to me today to say, let them do the impeachment. It will be the end of the Republican Party. It will end up in complete defeat and humiliation for them. Of course, I've got a little bit too much respect and love for the Constitution just to let them go down that road, with at least pointing out that the constitutional standard is treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, and they don't have evidence of any wrongdoing at all of Joe Biden, and that's not for a lack of evidence. We have thousands and thousands of pages of documents that they've subpoenaed, that they've gotten, dozens of hours of witness interviews that they've gotten, but far from proving their claims, it all disproves their claims. It all shows that nobody's laid a glove on Joe Biden, and he wasn't involved in any of Hunter Biden's business activities. And so that's really the end of the case. But you are making the sharp point that half of the impeachments in American history of presidents have been against Donald Trump, 2 of the 4. And the last one ended up not just with a successful impeachment vote in the House, but a 57-43 vote, the most widespread bipartisan, bicameral renunciation and denunciation of a president's activities. And that, incidentally, is what gives, I think, a lot of impetus to what's going on around the country in terms of trying to block Donald Trump from even getting on the ballot because of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which says if you've engaged in insurrection or rebellion, you can't serve again in office. And so he's already been essentially found to have engaged in insurrection by both the House and the Senate as a legislative fact.
And the reality is, doesn't this impeachment attempt end the moment that Hunter Biden's business partner gets up, puts up his hand, and says Joe Biden had nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business? That is game over. And if that ain't game over, the Senate, which has a slight bit more dignity on the Republican side, just a little bit, they're not going to take this up. So it will be a waste, literally a waste of time, and a televised inquiry that's going to embarrass Republicans. I don't get it. Are people coming up to you on the background and saying, we don't want to do this? Some Republicans, some that I've named, maybe some that I haven't?
Oh, yeah. A lot of Republicans think that just politically it is lunatic for them to go down this road. But just think for a second what's happening. You've got people who actually witnessed the insurrection that was incited and unleashed by Donald Trump, which he continues to praise to this very day, and says he's going to pardon at least a substantial portion of the insurrectionists. But people who witnessed that, who voted against impeaching the president or against convicting the president, despite all of the powerful evidence that he had incited the insurrection, they voted no on that, but they're going to vote yes to impeach Joe Biden for what? Nobody even knows what the charges are. Right. Nobody can even articulate what high crime and misdemeanor they think he's guilty of.
Well, according to Fox, it's being in any way related to poor, sad Hunter Biden. Apparently, that is his crime, being his father and not despising him. I mean, according to Fox, it's going to be what a time to be alive. Thank you, Congressman Jamie Raskin. Much appreciated.